happen is that I'm going to ask for nominees for the chair of the meeting. Can I have nominations for the chair of the meeting, please?
We can't hear you, Kerry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I nominate Councillor Cattell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councillor Cattell, are you happy to take the chair?
Yes, if Andre's happy.
Yep, happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll now hand over. Okay, procedural business. Are there any declarations of substitutes? I think that's Andre. Andre, you're a sub.
That's
You're
me,
subbing.
but I'm not sure who I was subbing for. I do apologise.
Councillor Fowler, she was unable to attend. That's
So
why
yes,
we have
I'll be substituting for Councillor Fowler in that case.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest?
No.
Okay. There are no non-public items on the agenda, and we will not be excluding the press and public. We are being webcast, so we're all in open session. Just double checking. We are. Sean, where are you? Is the are we okay with the cameras?
Yes,
Yep.
yes, I've been informed that we are live. Thank you.
Good, because I don't want to have to go and do that again. Okie dokie. So this is an application for a new premises licence for Burger King, Goldstone Retail Park, Newtown Road, Hove. Before we begin, I'm just going to go around and introduce everybody, get everybody to introduce themselves, including the panel. So I'll start off first. I'm Councillor Julie Cattell. I'm Deputy Chair of the Licensing Committee, and as you know, I'm chairing this meeting today. So I'll just go with my two colleagues first of all.
I'm Councillor Kerry Pickett for Preston Park Ward.
And I'm Councillor Anjay Cholak for Brunswick and Adelaide.
And Jackie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Councillor Jackie O'Quinn and I represent Goldsmith Ward, and I'm here objecting to this application.
Okay, thank you. Now, officers, obviously I've got everybody in different order on my but let's start off with Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca Siddell, legal advisor to the panel.
Thank you. And Sean's already introduced himself. So we've got Donna, please.
Good morning, Donna Linsdale, licensing officer presenting this application today.
Thank you. Corinne?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Corinne Hardcastle. I'm one of the licensing officers and I've made a representation to the application.
Okay, thank you. Now, I've got, if I just call out your name because there's so many people. Tony, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, this is Tony Moon. Can you hear me?
Yes, can you put your camera on? Can you
Oh,
put your
hang
camera
on.
on so
Yeah,
we can
sorry,
see you?
I'm not familiar with this. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
I don't think I can. Hang on a second. It's downloading, but my name's Tony Moon and I'm a resident in Goldstone Lane.
Thank you. And next, I've the way my screen is landed, I've got Robert. Can you unmute yourself, Robert, please?
Do apologise. Yeah, I haven't noticed.
Okay.
Right, woken up now. I'm Robert Glick. I live in Goldstone Lane. I am opposing the application for this licence.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, it's just introductions at the moment. Now I've got Jason next.
Hi, I'm Jason Kennedy. I'm the franchisee for the Burger King at Goldstone Retail Park in Hove, so I'm proposing the motion.
Thank you. Alex?
Thank you. I'm Alex Tomlinson, solicitor on behalf of the applicant, which is Jason.
Do I have to press that, Hedge?
Okay. And the next person I've got is Athar.
Yes, I'm Athar Mobin. I'm the general manager for that particular branch.
Okay, then I've got Barry.
Yeah, I'm Barry Robinson. I'm a resident of Goldstone Lane and overlook the premises, and I'm one of the
Okay.
objectors as well.
Thank you very much. The other person who is no doubt waiting to be introduced is Sarah, who is our who is the local government reporter. Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. Sarah Booker-Lewis, local democracy reporter for Brighton and Hove, representing the majority of news media in the city.
Thank you. Now, I don't know if Sean can tell. I mean, I've only got one screen of people. Do we have any more people coming to the meeting or asking to come into the meeting?
No, everybody has been invited into the room now, so that should be everybody.
Ah, that's brilliant. Okay, thank you. Now, unusually, we have got quite a few people who are appearing as objectors today. Are you? I'm just thinking, how many have we got? I've got Tony, Robert, Attar, and Barry. Now, do you all want to speak, or have you appointed one person amongst you to speak on behalf of you all?
No, I don't think we've appointed anyone, so whether we want to speak individually, I'm not sure.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe what I'll do is I'll come to you individually, and if you decide that someone else has spoken and said what you wanted to say, that's absolutely fine. Could I ask everybody to go on mute until it's time to speak, especially if you've got a dog or if you've got builders in, like Councillor Pickett, and I'll take over now. Okay, right. I will now hand over to Donna to introduce the application.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application for a new premises licence for Burger King, Goldstone Retail Park, Newtown Road, Hove. The application is for a late night refreshment licence for the following licensable activities: late night refreshment on and off the premises every day from 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. Hours open to the public every day, 24 hours. 28 representations were received. They were received from local residents association, 3 local councillors and the licensing authority on the grounds of prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance. The applicant has agreed to the conditions and amended the operating schedule accordingly. Conditions were also agreed between Environmental Protection and the applicant. Full details of the representations can be seen at Appendix C from page 25 of the agenda. Details of the conditions agreed can be seen at Appendix D from page 47 of the agenda. Our statement of licensing policy includes a matrix approach for licence decisions, which can be found on page 10 of today's agenda. The matrix model recognises the diverse operation and different risks presented by different classes of licensed premises. It provides the framework of what the licensing authority would like to see within its area and gives an indication of the likelihood of success or otherwise to investors and local businesses making applications. The premises do not fall within the community of impact zone or special stress area. The matrix indicates yes for late night refreshment licensed outside of these areas until midnight. However, please note that the notes that accompany the matrix do not state that each application is considered on its own merits. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Donna. Are there any questions in relation to what Donna's just said from members of the panel? No? Kerry, go ahead.
So I just wanted to ask, on the original planning consent, there were conditions on opening hours placed on businesses because of it being in a residential area. So I was just wondering, has a planning variation application been made on this?
That would be for Alex to answer.
Sorry, you can have your
apologise,
chance to talk in a minute, Alex. Yeah, sorry. This is just questions.
Sorry, Donna, I thought that was a question for you. I do apologise. I'll save it for later.
I know the applicants are aware of the times.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Andres, anything you'd like to ask?
Nothing from me at this time.
Jackie, this is for members of the panel.
Yeah,
questions.
I know.
Yeah, okay, okay. Right, okay. Okay, now it's your turn, Jackie. Would you, if you'd like to ask your questions, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, apologies. I kept
No,
thinking that you weren't going to ask any questions. Anyway, Donna, because the licensing authority, they represented against this, you objected to it. Has that now been withdrawn because in conditions? Because I can't see who would be the officer who would be presenting that objection.
No, Corin Hardcastle's here.
Because I haven't met Corin before. Thank you very much. When we were going round that out, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, is there, Jackie, do you want to ask another question? You put your hand up again.
No, I'm just lowering it. Thank you.
Okay, Corin. Oh no, okay, she's put her hand down. Okay,
that's
okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
that's by accident.
Okay, well, okay, right. Would any of the other parties like to ask any questions? Any of the the applicants or the other parties? No. Okay, fantastic. Let's move on. Right. Okay. Now I'm going to ask the applicants to make their representation. Thank you. Who will be doing that? Is that going to be you? Oh,
That
sorry.
would be me,
sorry,
Chair.
Rebecca.
Thank you.
Hang on.
Sorry,
Hold on,
through you, Chair. We normally hear from those making representations first. I don't know if I think you've all had the running order, hopefully.
Yes, the running order's here, but it's actually slightly different. Oh, it's slightly different from the ones I've normally had.
Oh, I do. If it's I apologise. So normally we'd hear from those making the representations and possibly from the councillor first, and then the other residents if they wish to speak.
I did, because Jackie spoke. Jackie didn't want to say anything, neither did any of the others. So I'm now moving on to
I think that was questions, wasn't it? I think that was just questions. I think they probably do want to say.
Yes, but I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit muddled up here because I'm looking. I think this is.
No point.
Hang on. Introduction from the licensing officer. Questions from the panel. Questions. Okay, right. Jackie, would you like to make your representation, please? I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Actually, it should be Corinne who makes the representation first, and then you would go to someone like me. But it may be that residents wish to speak before councillor. I don't mind whichever way they want that. But it should be Corinne first who puts forward.
That's not what. Sorry, Jackie, that's not what's on my. I've got.
No, that's probably my. Yes, it would normally be the responsible authority would go first. So apologies.
I was wondering. Yeah, sorry about that. It's
sorry.
not on my. Yeah. Yes, sometimes it's hard to read because some of the things are in red, and I find that hard to read sometimes. So yeah.
Sorry.
Right, sorry, Corinne, off you go.
Good morning, thank you, Chair. My representation on behalf of the Licensing Authority can be found on pages 30 and 31 of today's agenda. As we have heard, the application is for the provision of late night refreshment every day of the week until 5 AM, with opening hours 24 hours a day. My representation was made on the grounds of the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance, and having regard to the council's statement of licensing policy. It is recognised that this premises is not in either the cumulative impact zone or special stress area. However, this representation is submitted as there are concerns that the application does not meet the requirements of the council's statement of licensing policy with regards to applications made for late night takeaways. As already mentioned, the Council Statement of Licensing Policy includes a matrix approach for licensing decisions. The matrix table shows that late night takeaways in other areas should have a maximum terminal hour of midnight. I acknowledge that further conditions have since been agreed following the application being submitted, and whilst I appreciate this approach, due to the hours being applied for, I feel it is still necessary to bring this application before the panel to determine the final outcome. Many thanks.
Thank you very much. Would anybody like to ask any questions of Corinne? Thank you. Jackie, did you want to ask a question? Yeah, of Corinne.
Yes, I did, but I think the panel's first. Did the panel have any questions?
Panel have any questions? No. We were nodding out, shaking our heads. So yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. Yes, I do. Corinne, can you say a bit more about that planning thing, because I am very much aware of it being there, but I think it might clarify it for everybody else, because I know there were set times put on the retail park.
I think Donna, as the officer, has been liaising with our planning department. I know that obviously planning and licensing are sort of separate regimes, but my understanding is that planning currently is Monday to Thursday from 8 AM until 22:30, Friday and Saturday from 8 AM till 2300, and Sundays and bank holidays 9 AM till 10 PM. I think, Donna, have I got that?
Yeah. And
correct.
Has an application been received asking for this to be changed? Have they applied for a planning application? Are you aware of that?
Not that we've been made aware, I don't think, no.
Sorry, just to go out of order. No, we've not made a planning application as of yet
Right,
to change that
thank
condition. If we decide to do so, obviously at a later stage, we may do so. I'm sure you can appreciate, the sort of separate regimes. We can't do one without the other. So as I say, we're just deciding to apply for licensing first, and then we may follow suit with the planning if we decide to do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm completely out of order now. Sorry, Rebecca, could you remind me who goes next now? Is it representations from people?
So probably Jackie O'Quinn next, if everyone's asked questions of Corinne. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, because we had such a muddle this morning.
Yeah, it's really, apologies on behalf of us all.
Okay.
It's been a bit.
Okay, Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah, it should settle down as we go along. Yeah, it can be a bit confusing. Okay, well, I noticed this. I have made representations before, along with other ward councillors, where people have tried to have all-night licences in the Hove retail park area, and they have not been successful. I am very much aware of this one because of some of the issues that residents have talked about when we go around and we do our ward canvassing, and we did one fairly recently. And I think that residents, I'm sure they'll be speaking for themselves, but they're very concerned as that we about an increase in public nuisance in particular, because there's quite a lot of noise there. It's been a big issue for residents from the Hove retail park, and there have been some battles which I have been involved in, which have been fought with the supermarkets about deliveries and so on, about noisy trucks. We've also had problems in the car park, where we have had travellers come in the car park as well and set up, and the police have had to be involved in that. That's an issue that really needs to be discussed here today as well. And so it's the hours that wishes to stay open for late night refreshment, which is until 5 in the morning, from 11 till 5, which would cause considerable problems for neighbours, because there's people that back onto this, straight onto this in Goldstone Lane. There's a new housing development, there's blocks of flats, there's going to be capped, there's Goldstone Lane, there's more developments planned around. And as I think I said in my letter, this acts like a sort of sound thing, and this does come up in licensing applications. The sound goes up. This is like in a valley, and the sound travels up very strongly. So you get a lot of noise. You get a lot of noise which travels even more late at night from the cars that go in there, from the young people that congregate there. There's quite a lot of motorbike activity, wheelies, etc., etc. And luckily, it all stops at 11 o'clock, because nothing is open there then. You might get a little bit of noise after that, but it's having places open that encourages, especially young people, to go there. This is also well away from the town centre. It doesn't really need it in this area. There's plenty of places that people can call for a late night delivery. And I note that the other places that have been given a very late licence for this company are areas where there aren't really many residents around. And I think this is the major problem there. I think if this is open for longer, be a lot more noise, be a lot more problems. And also you're going to, you'll get this, people will go in the park, people will come from the park and so on. At the moment, this is a very quiet area, really, after 11 o'clock. There's also the issue of the car park. It's a real problem that this is quite a large car park and we don't want lots of people going in there that we don't want in the area. We don't want people trying to do overnight stays in vans or even longer stays and so on. I think it rather opens things up, and I think this is why the planning thing was put in there about the problems that could result from having the car park open. And so I think that generally this is actually a very negative thing. I'm also speaking for Mike Gibson, who is from the Hove Neighbourhood Forum. It's not a residents association, it is an actual neighbourhood forum, and they sort of contribute to planning things with this area and so on. And they're very strongly against this. There's been quite a lot of, how can I put it, concerned residents that have contacted Hove Neighbourhood Forum. So I'm kind of representing all of those people, and I know this area extremely well, and I just don't think we want more problems there. And I do not think I agree with Corrie. The sort of conditions that have been put in by the police just don't cover it, because they can only operate really in the sort of area just outside their premises, within their own premises area outside. They can't be going off into the car park and sorting people out and so on. That would require the police. And the police at the weekends are very busy with Operation Marble elsewhere. I don't think they'll be coming out there. Phone number doesn't cut it either. So I don't think those conditions cover the kind of issues that would come up here at all. So I'll leave it to the residents to expand on some of those issues that I've brought forward. So thank you very much, but I really ask for you not to agree to this application.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Now, who would like to speak on behalf of the residents, or would you all like to speak? Tony, would you like to speak? Tony?
I'm willing to speak while Tony is getting ready.
Okay, who's that? Is that Robert or
Robert?
Yep, sorry. Yep. Go ahead,
so
Robert.
I couldn't find the raised hand. Yeah. There we are.
We're all used to
I haven't used Microsoft Teams before. I'm sorry. So
okay.
Anyway.
Don't worry,
okay,
we all have. We'll let you off.
Right. Okay. Fine. Yeah. There's a list of things. We've already got issues of antisocial activity in our area. I live in Goldstone Lane, just diagonally down from the location of the premises there. Right, so I'll try and get through this list. One thing is that we get litter left in Goldstone Lane, which we know is from these premises, because it says on it, Burger King or whatever. Broken bottles or the glass. We've experienced young people doing wheelies late at night in the retail park, because it's a nice flat area which is partly hidden from the street, so they get a little bit of privacy, and it's quite open. They can come in and do what they like, and this applies to the front and the back of the retail park. There is the smell from some of these food outlets, and a number of years ago, we did campaign against the smell, and that was partly remedied, although not 100% to our satisfaction. But that is an issue which affects some residents more than others. I also have to emphasise that we don't have any police presence at all in Goldstone Lane, or as far as I know, the retail park. You know, they're just never there, and you can just imagine that it's not going to be a priority. And we know about the issues of what police are likely to turn up for and not turn up for, and forget it. There's just no chance of them coming along. At the back, there's a biffer truck which comes along. That could be any time. It could be 5 a.m. or any time of the night. I don't know why the biffer truck is coming along, and these issues have been going on for so long. I just think it's futile to keep trying to fight against these things. As Councillor Jackie O'Quinn said, I'd like to just re-emphasise some of the things she already mentioned. There are noise disturbances which are amplified by, because the houses are set back and some of them are high up, and because the warehouses are large, smooth and flat, they reflect sound. I can demonstrate this if anybody wants to come and visit. But sounds which are not just the sound made, it's not just the number of decibels low which are generated at the space itself, but it's an echo effect. So it is in effect amplified, and it goes on longer. So it's very, very disturbing, very stressful. And noise at night, we just don't want to, we're trying to sleep. Also, yes, again, as Jackie mentioned, the Hove Station Neighbourhood Forum, of which I'm a member, has expressed strong support for us to object to this licence application. So, and so there it is, strong objection to the licence.
Thank you very much, Robert. Tony, are you?
Yeah, can you hear me at all?
Yes, we can.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, my camera won't operate on my system.
That's
but
okay.
What I'd like to say is I agree with the comments that have been made. The point I would also make is that, which Robert has alluded to, is that Burger King is one of the largest significant polluters in our road, next to the other food restaurant. We have a plume of smoke coming into our houses all day. We've tried to alleviate that, but it's still there. And I don't really see why we should have that potential 24 hours a day. And to remind everybody, which we know, is that Burger King was allowed to come onto that site after we have been residents here. It should, in my opinion, it should never have been there at all, because it's a major polluter. That's my main point. I agree with all the other points that have been made.
Thanks very much, Tony. Is that's all you want to say at the moment? Yeah?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Barry, was there anything you'd like to say?
I think the others are more or less covered most of the points. One, we talked about wheelies. We did have over a period of time, it was like car meets with souped up cars doing donuts around the car park. But although the police would eventually turn up, but by then we're all wide awake. And I think at the time they sort of put a stop to it by, once all the premises are closed at, what was it, 11 o'clock, whatever, the gate would be shut into the car park to prevent, sort of re-entry. But now, if we're talking about 24 hours, that gate can't be, it's got to be left open all the time. So events like that could start up again. And the other thing I mentioned about the planning, I was a bit leaning towards that, because they have over the years from some of the other premises there been requests to change delivery times, opening times to sort of 24 hours. They've always been rejected. And the other concern is, well, if this is given the go ahead, then these other premises may renew their requests. as it's one sort of companies are allowed to do it. They'll question why can't they? So I think that's more moving on to the planning issue side of it, which is probably separate to what we're discussing here.
Indeed, it is. Thank you very much, Barry. That's fine. Okay. Questions from members of the panel. I've got Andre and then questions of Jackie or our residents.
A combination. One was to Robert around the Biffa truck going down Goldstone Lane. So just for clarity, that's a truck presumably used by Burger King for their waste management.
Oh, the Biffa truck is not in Goldstone Lane. It's in the retail park itself.
Gotcha. So that's used by the business for waste management and occurs presumably after. At closing time, when you said it's inconvenient to local residents.
No, it can be any time. It can be during the day. It can be during the night. I don't know what the schedule is. I don't know why people are driving around collecting recycled stuff at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Why? I just don't get it.
I completely take your point. Yeah. The only reason I raise it is I'm not too sure what the relevance is to this application. If it's already a concern and is happening throughout the day and throughout the evening, I don't know what impact it would have with regards to the extended licensing hours that have been requested. But that was just for clarity.
There'll be more rather than less recycling, won't there? Whatever activity, it won't reduce the activity, it'll likely increase the activity.
Gotcha.
Right,
okay, so your concern
is we have now aren't going to improve. They might get worse.
Sure. Okay, so that's it. That's what I was after. So your concern with regards to that is that you would see more activity from the likes of Biffa to try and meet the growing, waste that would be as a result of extended hours. That's good to know. The other question was for Tony, talking about the pollution. Is that pollution from the vehicles? Or is that pollution from the business itself?
It's from the business itself. The cooking produces a plume of blue smoke pretty constantly, right. And that also has an unpleasant smell or an oily cooked smell, which is obviously here all the time. I mean, you notice it on certain days, obviously sunnier days perhaps, but it's there.
Okay, sure. Thank you. That's just the two questions I've got at the minute, which is for the purpose of clarity. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Kerry.
Thank you. Mine's a general question at the moment. In relation to the gate, could someone tell me if they think that there's been less trouble with people congregating in the car park since the gate was put in?
Well, I think, as I said, there was several occasions they had these car meets, and then I think after police involvement, it was decided to close the gates. When all the premises are closed, and then, since then we've not had any issues, even though I think the gate is left open now. But we haven't had any of these car meets for some time now.
Okay, thank you. And just another question on regarding sound. I can't remember who it was that said it was very stressful for residents as the sound is amplified. Is that from voices or is it from the ventilator, fans? Could someone just clarify that, please?
I mentioned the sound. So sound is another form of pollution, of course, and it's come in various forms. So typically the trucks which come to replenish the stores, which arrive at 7 a.m. and they either start at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. There's little around the back, which isn't such a major problem, I don't think. I mean, sometimes you don't know which lorry it is because, frankly, early in the morning, I don't want to get out of bed and look out of the window and see what it is. And it's been going on for so many years. So delivery trucks, the Biffa truck I mentioned, Biffa is the loudest one, by the way. There's also occasionally there's been people who are not working, no connection with the retail park, but they've just gone into it, and they shout verbal abuse. That's happened. So there's a lack of privacy there, and it's not nice to be verbally abused by somebody. This is very, very close. I have to emphasize, you know, we can see each other, we could have a conversation with somebody because we are overlooking the retail park. What other noises are there? There's always seems to be something both front and back of the retail park.
Okay.
Can
Thank
I
you.
add into that, Kerry?
Yes.
Because I know a bit about that. Yes. The gate. I think the gate is very important about that gate to actually have a barrier to stop people going in. Otherwise, I think it's going to be enormous abuse. But the noise.
Sorry, that's a.
The noise comes. I was going to say.
Sorry, as chair. Sorry, that it's for me to say whether you can talk or not. I'm sorry.
Oh right, sorry. I thought I was adding in because they were asking about.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. No, I was actually going to ask about the gates. But Kerry, have you finished your questions now? Have you got any more questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I was maybe it's something I should leave until the applicant, but I'm just wondering about whether any of the residents know who's responsible for the gate, to close the gate. Alex, you'll get your turn in a minute. Sorry.
I can just answer on the gate point.
No,
that's
no,
all, if
no,
you'd
no.
like.
You will get your. I'll ask you that question when it's your turn. Okay.
Yeah,
now, if you can put your hand down because it's not your turn yet. Okay. Residents, do you know who's responsible for the gate, and when did it stop? When did it stop being closed? I mean, you're saying it's left open all the time now.
I can't remember how many years ago. This was several years ago when we had the issue, and I think, whoever was looking after the gate at the time, I think it was whoever was I'm trying to think if even Nando's was there at the time. It might.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Burger King. So I think it was responsibility. Whoever was the last premises to close, they must have all had keys.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, and could I ask? Hang on. Who was it? Robert was talking about the pollutants coming from the extract ducting. Can I just ask, just for the
I was Tony actually.
Tony. Yeah. Okay, Tony. Just for clarification. What happens with Nando's? Do they have an extract duct? They must have because they're cooking premises. Yes. And can you isolate the two food premises in terms of smells coming from their extract ducts?
Well, you can. They're both polluters. I mean, they're both sending a plume of blue smoke into the environment, straight into our houses.
So you're saying it's both Burger King and Nando's?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Right, let's move on. Now, does anybody need a 5-minute comfort break? I know I appreciate we started late, but does anybody need 5 minutes? Robert, sorry, did you want to say something more?
I was trying to say, in addition to Tony's comment about the plume of blue smoke, there is a serious health issue. There are many sources of information which you can look at online about what smoke from cooking oil can do. You know, there are various forms of research. We should all bear that in mind. This is very serious.
I think that's something you will get the opportunity to speak to the applicants or their representatives to find out what to find out what's to be done about that and what is the status of their extract ducting in terms of how often it's cleaned and so on. So you can get that opportunity once they've given their made their representations. Right. But at the moment, as I've said, would anybody like to take a 5-minute break? Because some of us have been here for quite a while. No, nobody? Sarah? You're on mute, Sarah. Hang on, what's she doing? Oh no, she's put her hand down. Okay, in that case, we'll crack on then. If nobody, oh no, she says she wants to support the break. I mean, I wouldn't mind the 5 minutes because some of us have been here since. In
which case, let's do the 5 minutes then. Let's if you need the 5 minutes, let's
go
do
now.
that.
Yeah, okay.
It's good, isn't it?
James, please start. Thank you.
Okay, I've just messaged Sarah. Yeah, she hasn't come.
We
back
are
to me
now
yet.
live. Thank you.
We're now live. That's great. Thank you. Yes, she's here. She's just sent a message. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, now it's time for the applicant's representations, and I'm guessing that Alex is going to be making the case on their behalf. Yeah,
that's correct, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. As already alluded to, I'm the solicitor on behalf of the applicant, Leon Kennedy, and this is an application for a new premises licence at this Burger King at the Goldstone Retail Park. Just to emphasise, we fully recognise the concerns raised by the local residents, the councillors and the local licensing authority, and we'd just like to take this opportunity to address these concerns. Firstly, I would just like to introduce the applicant themselves and provide some background to the premises. In short, Leon Kennedy is an independent franchisee of Burger King, which is run by Mr. Kennedy, who is here. He has been the operator of this Burger King site on the Goldstone Retail Park for over 15 years, and it has traded successfully and we hope works well within the local area. The site itself has been there since 1999, and this is the 25th year it has been a Burger King. We note that other applications have been received or submitted for other similar operations to ours closer to this local area, and we firmly believe that the issues raised here today can be addressed by this operator and for this site. This is the only operator with enough experience and knowledge of this local area to deal with these concerns. So if you are permitted to grant this application, it must be on the recognition that it is only to this site which is suitable and for the hours sought. Now, a lot of concerns have been raised in relation to crime and disorder, and this area, which is known for individuals loitering and lingering with cars, especially in the later hours, which we are fully aware of. However, we note that this is a site which is situated on a private car park, which restricts any car after 11 o'clock to only a 10-minute interval, and if cars do stay longer than that, then they would be subject to a fine. Just because I know we've already touched on this point before, the gate to the car park is open at the moment. It is open. It is the responsibility of the landlord. It will be remaining open, and what the car park does is it uses an AMPR system, which I'm sure we're all well aware of what those are, which is sort of recognises cars' number plates as they come in. We have already agreed with the police that we will implement a CCTV system which will cover both the internal and external areas, and that footage will be retained for 31 days, which is standard with the police in agreement. Additionally, we have trained staff members who will always be present to manage and operate this system, and we're committed to maintaining an incident log and ensuring that all the staff are trained and ongoing training in their responsibilities under the Licensing Act. This will not only cover licensing obligations, but also how to identify and de-escalate antisocial behaviour and report criminal activity as soon as it happens to the police, just so that we are the eyes on the ground for this estate. If anything does happen, we will be there and we will be notifying the police. We do also have a remote security service system, which essentially will contact some security services if we need to and should there be any trouble on the estate. Of course, as I say, we've heard from the local residents that we understand that noise and public nuisance is a big and probably the largest concern for the nearby residents during the night. Again, in response to this, we are just only applying for the external sort of drive-through area. The internal restaurant will be closed between 11 and 5. During these hours, service will be exclusively through the drive-through, significantly limiting foot traffic and loitering. We've also offered conditions which will be signage will clearly be displayed encouraging customers to leave quietly, and we're offering a direct telephone number to the manager to let residents contact us immediately if there are any concerns, and the manager is here, which is Mr. Mobin. We have also agreed conditions with the Environmental Health Authority, who are the leading experts in your respectfully in your council as to what they believe to be noise nuisance and noise issues, to limit any potential noise disturbances, and they are happy and we are happy to have these conditions reviewed regularly with the EHO officers to make sure that we're not causing an issue. In the representations, attention's been brought to the drive-through speakers and the extractor fans. The drive-through speakers will be used. We will openly admit that, but we do believe because of the sheltered nature that this will not cause an issue for local residents. And again, we believe this to be the same with the extractor fans. Obviously, we are regularly on site. We don't believe that the extractor fans are causing a noise nuisance to the local residents. We've not been contacted by the local residents to this effect, but we are happy to continue these discussions with them as I say, if this application is granted, and to continue to have that dialogue to hopefully resolve any issues which are outstanding. We completely acknowledge again that the retail park has had previous attraction of, for lack of a better term, boy races. The last time that we're aware of this situation was pre-COVID. However, what we're trying to say is hopefully our operation does not involve congregation of this manner. In short, quite the opposite. We want it to be controlled, regulated operation with no dine-in service. So it will just be a drive-through model, which ensures that customers are served efficiently and encouraged to leave the site promptly. We will closely work with the car park management to monitor and address misuse of the site, and we're open to working with the police to ensure that joint monitoring strategies where possible. Again, we just would like to emphasise that this operator is well known in a positive light with the police and works incredibly well with the police. We've not received an objection because they don't believe there'll be any concerns of how well we manage this site, and we don't believe that will be the case for any other operator should they be granted an application, or any other operators looking to go into this local area. We recognise the concerns about the air quality and the kitchen emissions. So all Burger King restaurants, including this one, use modern extraction systems. They're fitted with carbon filters to mitigate odours and smoke. And again, we're not aware of any continuous complaints with the residents in relation to this. We are happy to work with environmental health to investigate and take any action should there need to be any action. And again, at the moment, we're not aware of any concerns. In terms of the litter, we conduct regular litter patrols already, and the landlord of the retail park also conducts each litter picking each morning. Presently, and we're happy to show photos if required, there is no Burger King litter on the premises. But again, we're aware that people do leave the estate and people do leave litter in the surrounding areas, not necessarily Burger King's, but just general litter. And we, of course, believe this is regrettable as well. And we don't want this to be a concern. Again, we're concerned that this may be exasperated if other operators are granted these permissions. And we are committed to maintaining this to be a high standard area, ensuring we do not contribute to local waste, of course. We want to work with our local neighbours and make sure that this is a place where people enjoy living and enjoy coming to our restaurants and potentially the retail park. And we do not want litter to be an issue there. I must emphasise that this is a family orientated business. The customer spans all age groups, and the operation does not involve entertainment or any alcohol. We're not situated in a cumulative impact policy area or a stress area. However, we acknowledge that this is a noise sensitive area, of course. This is why we're not asking for internal access 24 hours. All we're asking for is the drive-through service throughout the night, a model which we believe is tried and tested in many other suburban areas with minimal disturbances. Again, I just need to touch on the licensing authority's point, and we understand that the licensing matrix sets midnight as the usual terminal hour for late night takeaways in these areas. However, the policy does allow for exceptions where warranted. These exceptions must demonstrate why this application presented in front of you today is the exception. And again, we respectfully submit that this is the application for that exception. We've presented safeguards we've agreed to, we've restricted the late night operation, we've got an exceptional track record as an operator being responsible, and we strongly believe that this is the only operator in this area that will be able to deal with the issues locally in a professional manner with the in-depth knowledge that we have. We are not simply asking for more hours, we're offering more controls, low impact, enforceable model conditions with full cooperation with all of the authorities. And say you may think that this is not an appropriate location for this type of activity after 11 o'clock. But if you are minded to grant this application, then it should be to a local operator who manages the issues at the site well and is set apart from any other operator looking to come into this local area. And of course, we're happy to answer any of the questions that you have as councillors and any of the questions from the local residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would Jason or Athar like to add anything to that?
Nothing really from our side, but we are more than welcome to work with the residents if any issues do occur, and we can negotiate any issues that come forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so if you're happy, Alex, that you've said all you want to say, yeah?
Of course, as I say, we just welcome some questions from yourselves.
Okay, that's great. Right, okay, now I shall firstly turn to members of the panel for questions. Terry?
Thank you. Alex, could you just clarify the AMPR cameras? Will they only log registration plates, or will they be able to view the entire car park?
So the AMPR are part of the landlord's estate. They're not part of ours. So we will have CCTV. The CCTV, which will be external and external to our area. It won't cover the entirety of the car park, but essentially the immediate vicinity of what we use. And we can, obviously, it's fully operational CCTV, and which we will be storing for 31 days. It will log all the car plates, and it will be there.
Sorry, but the point you made earlier was that there will be, or there is AMPR cameras?
There is AMPR cameras that go onto the car park, and what it does, as I'm sure you're aware what they do, registers logs the registration plates, and what it does is it gives a sort of time frame after 11 o'clock. There's only 10 minutes that you're allowed to stay, otherwise it will be picking you up as a car. Okay, thank you. And then can I also ask, you were talking about the litter patrols.
Obviously, I appreciate that, you probably do have someone going around picking up the litter in the immediate vicinity of the Burger King. But often people, they'll buy their burger, they walk out, and it's when they've eaten it that they drop the litter. There has been a problem with litter, particularly in the park. I was just wondering, has Burger King ever considered extending their litter picking further afield, so that, the further around the area to mitigate the problem of all that kind of litter that is not really around the actual building, the Burger King building itself?
Of course, and thank you for the question. It is a difficult one, of course, as I'm sure you can appreciate, because no matter how far we go, someone will always be asking, well, why can't we go a little bit further? This is obviously, as I'm sure you can appreciate, a private company, and we do have a lot of concern in relation to sending our staff out into areas in which we're not controlling them. And they're not controlled by us in that sense. So there's a risk to the staff by doing so, and obviously a risk to us as a company by sending them out there. So yes, consider, obviously at the moment we don't believe that any litter really is a problem from Burger King, and especially for this application we very much expect to hand over our food to the individuals who will be driving, who will then drive on to their destination to eat the food and dispose of it appropriately. Our litter and our packaging is very minimal as opposed to other operators, and other operators use a lot more packaging, and we're sort of concerned that their litter may become more of an issue than actually ours. As I say, it is quite minimal at the moment. We're not aware of any litter issues, and we're more than happy to say to continue these discussions with the residents if there is any litter propagating in those areas, so that we can hopefully alleviate that.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask, will there be any toilets open at night?
The internal restaurant will be closed, so we won't. No one will be allowed to enter the premises.
Okay. Thank you. And finally, I think in your application, you agreed to the condition to say no fumes, steam, or odours will be emitted from the premises to cause a public nuisance. I know you sort of said that you've got air quality ventilators in place to achieve this, but the residents have said that this is a problem. Are you doing something in particular now to mitigate this, or is it just what's in place now is what you're using?
Obviously what is in place now is what we're using, and as I say, we are obviously very sorry if there is any concerns with the residents. We weren't aware of any concerns in terms of like there being noise and or smell from the restaurant until we've put this application in. We've been around to the site this morning, we were there yesterday. We're not able to notice any of the noise or the smell in which the residents are referring to, but what we are doing is offering this condition to say to the environmental health officers, who are the experts in this area for your local councils, come round, ensure that we are doing this properly, and if there is anything in which we can do, then of course we will look to fix it, because what we want to do is work well with the neighbours in that regard. We're not here to say, oh, there's no smell or no noise. We're not aware of it at the moment, but if there is going to be, then we'll look to get that resolved, of course.
Thank you. Sorry, I've got one final question. It's just to do with delivery drivers. I assume that Deliveroo and all those companies will still be able to pick up from Burger King through the drive-through.
Yeah, third-party delivery companies will be able to utilise it for the drive-through. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Robert, you'll get your chance to ask questions after we've done ours, if that's okay. Yeah. Andre.
Thank you. First question is about, you've got the outdoor seating area. So I'm conscious, my question was originally going to be, how are you going to prevent people from using that? And I'm mindful to assume that the ANPR cameras would then, obviously clock any vehicles that are there longer than the 10 minutes. But what would prevent someone coming through on a bike through any of the walkways that you can see on the map that dot around the area, using the drive-through and then just sitting there and congregating there of an evening?
Of course, we'd be able to see them for the first instance, so we would ask them to move on, and Mr. Moban would be there with a member of staff, and we'd ask them to move on. If they wouldn't, and they're reluctant to do so, then we would call our security services for the first point of call. They use a mobile unit. They would come down and they would ask them to move on, and hopefully that would be sufficient enough. If not, then obviously we would have to escalate the matter to the police, which is something that we obviously are concerned about and we don't want to happen, and we're worried that obviously the increase in possibly this site and another site in the locality may mean that people are congregating to do so. So that's why we're offering these security services, and that's why, as I say, we'll be able to mediate against that.
Sure, and you may not be able to answer this, but possibly the ANPR presumably is located on that Newton Road where the entrance is to pick up the vehicles. So what's preventing, antisocial behaviour, people on motorcycles from accessing the site from the other sides, and carry on with the behaviour that we've had mentioned about the wheelies, the driving round, that sort of thing? I presume the same sort of answer you would raise to your security company.
Of course, unfortunately, we don't know. It's the landlord's information as to where those ANPR cameras. Obviously, common sense would prevail to think that they are at that entrance, but they may be around the car park themselves. And it is a concern, obviously, with the increase in activity in this local area. We do expect sort of a lot, 20 to 30 sort of cars and bikes being in this location. And what we want to do is to demonstrate that us as the operator are able to deal with these and deal with these effectively. Whereas, as I say, we don't think others in the vicinity will be able to do so.
Sure. Just two final questions, and maybe these are either yourself, Alex, you can answer this, or better directed at Jason as the franchisee. One is why this now? What is the motivation to look at exploring this option? And then secondly is, I appreciate, as you've said, that you've not been made aware of any noise or air pollution concerns that local residents may have, but as you see from the numerous correspondence we've received around this, they all mention it. So what I'd like to understand is you've committed to having the local environmental officers engage with that. That's brilliant. If they were to turn around and say, right, here's the issue, are you able to guarantee that you're willing to, let's say, part way with the money necessary to resolve the issue? It's one thing to say you'll allow officers to come down and explore it, but if they turn around and say, yes, this is causing considerable concern for residents in the local area, we would suggest you alter it. What commitments do residents have that that's something that you'll look to do?
I mean, in short, of course. If the environmental health officers came down and said, look, these are an issue, this is a problem, the reason we're offering that condition there is that becomes then, as I'm sure you're aware, Councillor, readily enforceable from the environmental health officers. So what they can do is bring us here in front of people like yourselves again to say this action isn't being done, and what we'd like to do is stop this licence and review it and take it away from us, and it's a permission which you have readily available to yourselves. Of course, we don't want it to go down that far. In short, Burger King's a wildly known name, as we're all aware, and we're not here to cause an issue for our neighbours in any way, shape, or form. You know, good neighbours and good relations means better business for us, in short, and that's the simple matter of it. We don't want to be causing concern for the local neighbours and then complaining, and in the nicest way possible. It's a media frenzy for how we're the terrible neighbour to all these local people, and it's not good for business. So we'd much rather continue to speak with them, have that discourse, and continue to hopefully be happy, available neighbours to them.
Okay, thank you. I think that's everything from me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So my questions now. First of all, could you explain to us why we should consider this to be an exception to the matrix, where normally the terminal hour should be midnight?
Of course, I'm happy to do so. Realistically, the reason of why where the exception is, one, the safeguards in which we've proposed. We believe that we've gone above and beyond for this application to allow, as I say, for this to be an exception. We're restricting the operation to only drive-through as opposed to going for internal, which other operators within the vicinity we know are going to be going for internal. And we've got such a track record of this operator, of Leon Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Mobin being there. They've been there for so long, exceptional track record of being a responsible operator with in-depth local knowledge, that they would believe that we are the only operator who can and will be able to trust and operate into the later hours. Thank you.
Okay, so the thing is, there's been so many people, and we've had so many letters, and from also from other the organisation like the Hove neighbourhood group, they've all got these complaints, and yet you don't seem to be aware of them. I mean, it's clear that there is an issue with noise, disturbance, antisocial behaviour, and the sort of odours coming from the extract system. If it's the case that you've got a good relationship with the neighbours, why are they still saying that there is a problem, particularly with the smells?
Of course, and as I say, we have not been contacted by any of the local neighbours or any of the sort of neighbourhood forums until this application has been put in. So we've not been raised any concerns in relation to this. We haven't got any information in relation to this, and we're happy to continue to work with them. Of course we are. What's happened is obviously I think we have caused a bit of concern with our application, and understandably so, but again, we can only be made aware of the things in which we're made aware of. When we were having conditions or constructive conversations with the environmental health officer, they really weren't made aware of any issues in relation to this site either. And as I say, we were able to agree conditions with them, and they've not put in an objection to the application because they're not aware of any issues. So as I say, it is that ongoing conversation and discourse in which we're committed to, but we only can be made aware of what we're aware of.
Okay.
In a sense.
Okay. Now going back to the extract system, I mean, I'm a retired planner, and I've had a lot of experience with applicants and extract ducts and so on. Now I'm trying to find where the extract duct is I've looked on it on Google Earth and Google Street, and I can't see where it is. But one thing I do know is that 25 years ago there was a big difference in extract duct technology, and I'm wondering whether your clients have actually changed their extract, because you say they've got state of the art, and yeah, I mean, state of the art doesn't mean anything. I mean, everybody has to have charcoal filters now, but if there is a clear, all the residents are all saying that they can smell and see pollutive things coming out of the extract duct, what has your client done? Why is this happening? If you're saying your client's got a sort of state of the art system, and how are you going to comply with those conditions? And the conditions that environmental health have asked you to comply with. And I'm not sure how those compliance with those conditions is going to come from. Is it coming from licensing? I mean, this is something that I might have to ask Rebecca to step in, because how do we take action? I mean, in planning, we take enforcement action, but in licensing, I don't know how we can how we can take action on something like this happen. You know, if you say you've done all this, and then a couple of months down the line, we've got all these people now that they know they can complain to environmental health, and I would urge them to do that now that they know they can. How are you going to guarantee that, and how are you going to guarantee it for as long as your client is on the site?
Sorry, just to be clear, is that a question for me, or is that for licensing?
Well, it's for you, and it's for you. And if you need to ask your client, then please do so.
No, of course. In terms of how can we ensure compliance, I mean, that is the reason for the condition. That condition is readily enforceable by the environmental health for licensing in police team. And if we are in breach of that condition and evidence is shown to be breaching that condition, then they can obviously review the license and take this permission away from us. No problem at all. That is how the process goes, and that is. But
how are your clients going to comply with the condition? Because at the moment there is still a problem. And that's why environmental health has said, and
do you want me to speak, Alex? I can speak if you like.
Of course.
Yeah. How are you going to comply with it? Yeah.
A couple of things I'd say was, of course, once we put this application in and I saw some of these objections by the residents and naming certain things, I made more visits than usual to Hove, and had to say that I had no evidence of any smoke up there at all. And I've done those visits with my management as well.
Have you been to
different management to sort of say, am I not seeing it? And I got other management that could also say that. So I sort of question myself whether I'm actually not seeing it, and ask them to join me on those walks up on Goldstone Lane. So I'd say on that. The other part of it is that fan was replaced. Atul might correct me, but I reckon it's 3 years ago. I think we replaced that fan, and that was a very quiet fan.
It's not as much the noise that I'm
okay,
because obviously conditions about extract ducts have to have they have
and then on the odor I should say, and I did this walk twice on Saturday myself with different Burger King managers to ask them to do that walk with me, and I asked them, can you smell anything, because I could not, and I did the visit at 10 a.m. and about 4:30 on Saturday, and I could not smell anything. So I can only call it as I see it. All of our equipment is maintained by local companies, and there are, compared, like you talk about 25 years ago, yeah, sure, the systems are very different. All of our extract filters are soaked in a tank of chemicals that remove the grease, and we have spare sets of filters there, and there's swaps. There's very efficient removal of grease from the filtration system at the front end before it actually even gets in the extract duct. And I'm guessing 25 years ago, extract duct clean might have been every 4 months. Now it's every 2 months. So I'd like to think that that's doing something. Those processes are doing something to remove the odor. But I've got to say, and this goes for ourselves and any restaurant, as a fan gets older, a fan gets noisier. As the closer to the duct clean data is, sometimes, like you've had a particularly peak trading, there might be differences in the odor that comes out, but I can only call it as I see it. And I don't think we're due duct clean for a while now. So we do this every 2 months. I'd just say, I'm really on it. I've worked with all different departments in Brighton Council for more than 20 years now on our sites, and I can promise you that I am not looking to be a nuisance in any way. We're trying to get things approved on the basis of agreement, and to try and help matters that maybe local residents have got. And that may not be the case for others that may think they're going to go for these kind of premises licenses, which has become very endemic really in the city. Sorry, I think you might want to ask something else about it.
That's it. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
As I say, we just want to make sure that these extractions we are on it, and as I say, we work very closely with environmental health, and if they recognise an issue, then of course we'll work with them in order to resolve that.
Okay, well, once the residents have got their chance to ask questions, then you can perhaps answer for their personal experience as well.
Sure.
Now, with all the antisocial behaviour that goes on with cars and bikes and so on, and obviously there is still this issue about the gate doesn't get closed, but which is problematic. Sorry, my phone's just decided to talk to me for no reason. We've got all these issues with bikes and so on. You say you've got your security team. Now, are you going to call out that security team, the mobile security team? And we know about these because we hear this a lot on licensing panels. Are you going to call them out to stop a bunch of, for want of a better term, boy racers doing wheelies around the
well, they are in
Hove.
Hove. They're in Hove because they're doing night patrols. I think after the COVID, they carried on. Yeah, sure. I mean, why not?
Are they actually going to tackle something which is actually not anything to do with your premises?
In short, yes, that's the service we pay for, and we pay for very strongly. The services are known very well to the police, and again, we had conversations with the police about this, and they were more than happy with what we were offering in terms of that concern. And again, we have Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Moban, very well known to the police in a positive light. You can, of course, check that reference if you wish to do so. So yes, we will utilise the service we pay for, and obviously raise it further if that's not been resolved.
Okay, because I'm just thinking it's going to be quite difficult, to do this. I'm a bit sceptical about this being able to be successful, and of course by the time there's been a bunch of cars coming in, or a bunch of bikes, motorbikes or electric bikes or whatever, it's people have been woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's too late by the time the police get there, or your security people get there. And that's one of the things that concerns me, is that this is, I'm still looking for you to tell me why we should grant this as an exception to our statement of licensing policy.
Well, we would be calling the security if there's incidents in the car park, because it's a potential threat to the staff, I suppose. So all I can say is that they're local, because I know that post-pandemic,
well, that doesn't matter.
I'm saying it wouldn't take them long. It wouldn't take them long, because they're around Goldstone Retail Park. So they're local. I have to say, I just don't know. This may not end up being the case, but I'm finding just from experience that most of the sort of nuisance and trouble incidents in Brighton at the moment are daytime, and they're not really night, which is just a changing trend in things. But I'm not saying that's to excuse this. I'm just finding that.
No, I mean, we know that and we've all of us on most of us on licensing have been out with Operation Marble, and we sat on panels where operators have asked for late night opening licenses and late night refreshment, and we've heard all what the police have to say, and a lot of this occurs at it's usually early in the morning. I appreciate that's mainly in the town centre, and you're out of the town centre, but because you're out of the town centre, you're surrounded by houses and residents who have already expressed how fed up they are with all this happening, and how it could get worse after you have your drive-through service. So that's where I'm coming from on that. So I've probably got all my questions. Right, I see that Carrie's got another question.
Thank you. Yes, just briefly, would the applicant consider a reduction in opening hours for the drive-through?
So yes, Councillor, of course we would. What our what our genuine belief is, though, as I'm sure you're aware, is that we believe that we can operate these hours responsibly, and we believe that we can make this a success, and we believe that this will not be a detrimental to the local area or to the local neighbours. We believe that of course, you're saying the reduction in hours, but if we can operate it well up until midnight, then we can surely operate it well until 1 or until 2 or straight through the evening. We're not to say that this will be a 24-hour Burger King immediately. Of course, there's a lot of things that we need to put in place here in terms of measures and due diligence and all the other bits and pieces. But what we want to do is have the opportunity to do so, to show that we will not cause a nuisance and show that this will be a commercial and successful business for the Goldstone Park, but also for the local area.
Thank you.
In follow up to Carrie's question, what would you accept a reduction to? 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
Of course, this is up to you councillors to decide. It is up to you as to what you deem appropriate for that area. Of course, as I say, we are applying for that 24 hours. We would like to be able to do so, and we believe so that we could operate in a responsible and according manner. But as I say, if you're minded to grant to reduce hours, then obviously it's your powers to do so.
Thank you for that. Okay, now where are we? Yes. Now, are there any questions? First of all, from Jackie, and then I'll move on to the residents.
Yes, I have got questions. At the moment, you say that there's 10 minutes allowed after 11 o'clock for vehicles to be able to come in, otherwise they get fined. Yeah. So how are you going to deal with it if you have a queue at the sort of, if there's a queue of cars and so on? I can't quite see how you're going to manage. You've just talked about 20, 30 cars and so on coming in. I don't see how you're going to manage that at all. Also, I'm very concerned because I did have a look at your other drive-throughs, and you have a very large number of delivery services that use you. And because there is a car park there, so it is easier for them than some of the ones in Hove and so on, which don't have great car parking facilities. How is that not going to make a lot of noise for residents? I can't see how. A lot of them aren't cars, they're motorbikes and so on that do the deliveries. And actually, I'm concerned about the noise. And I wonder, are you going to have it change the amount of time that people can stay there? So will they be able to stay longer than 10 minutes?
So going to your original point, we expect, obviously, I'm sure we all know how the operation is for a drive-through. People don't stay very long at all. We fully expect people to enter the car park, make their order, drive round and collect their order and be out well with under the 10 minutes. We don't envisage any queues in any shape or form. As I say, the amount in which of orders which we will be expecting in these hours, we don't envisage any queues at that time. So yes, we are fully in anticipation that we will be able to abide by the 10 minutes. If people obviously do stay on the car park longer than 10 minutes, then this is a private fine, and it is very clear when entering the car park about this.
Yeah, sorry, I can't see how you're going to get people through there. If you've got delivery drivers, if you've got other people coming through, I cannot see that 10 minutes actually working at all. And well, having sat and waited at some with my daughter, where we waited 45 minutes, somehow I can't see that happening. And that would be quite a concern. That of course, you're saying you can turn it through with having delivery drivers as well.
Yes, and we fully believe it. I apologise if you've waited 45 minutes for your food from other establishments. This is a very well run, very organised operation, and yes, and we fully believe that we'll be able to turn these people at these hours through and out in 10 minutes, probably way less than that, quite easily. And many other operations, not this one, as I say, this is a franchise and very organised franchise, but many of the other operations do so quite easily.
Yeah, well, the one I went to was very popular. It wasn't well run. So that would be a major concern, and you haven't really answered that to what I would expect. You've also argued that you put in all these special conditions and all the rest of it. But these are very standard about CCTV and sort of having security around your curtilage, doing rubbish things, telephone number and so on. That's pretty standard that go out. So, you know, I can't really see what you're offering that is so exceptional to any other place, especially when you have so many residents nearby who you are at great risk of disturbing by encouraging people to go into the retail area late at night and in the early hours of the morning. So what is so special about your conditions?
Well, of course, in the application itself, we have reduced it to only being drive-through. That is one exceptionality, whereas others operators will expect it to be the internal restaurant to be open from all of those hours. Of course, the conditions in which we've offered, we believe to be proportionate and resolute to this application. You won't very often, as I'm sure you're aware, and I'm aware from hundreds of applications throughout the year, that these conditions are that standard, especially personalised numbers to the local management, because again, just in case any concerns do happen. Litter picking off the site, we are more than happy to do so. As I say, within the areas, we just need to make sure that our staff are safe. And again, CCTV is very common, but again, it's not a condition at the moment because we don't have a license. So what we're doing is working with the police to make sure that our internal and external CCTV is available to them. And again, should any issues arise, then that is available. So what we have offered is proportionate and we believe reasonable for this site.
Yes, but it is actually quite standard for that sort of thing. I've done a lot of those myself when I was chair of licensing. So the other thing I wanted to say was I am staggered that Jason Kennedy couldn't smell the smell that is emanating from your premises, because I made a point the other day of walking around the back. I thought, well, let me investigate. Let me see what's going on here. And it is a terrible smell that comes up, and the fluids on the roof, the thing that lets it out. And I didn't see smoke, but this horrible, very strong smell that kind of assaults you when you walk around the drive-through, and particularly around the back where it would go up to Goldstone Lane. And I think now that you've said about this, I agree with the chair. There'll be a lot of people who've now realised they need to put in complaints to environmental health. And I will be one of those people because I was quite shocked that it smelled so bad. So, you know, I'm finding it quite difficult that you're saying there's no problem, there's no smell, you're going to have environmental health along, but nobody in your premises or, you know, your managers and so on can smell it. So actually, you know, that worries me. So those are the things that I'm very worried about, that I think that there will be a lot of noise coming in because you're going to have those delivery drivers and they're going to come in late because it's much easier to come to you than some other areas where it's hard for them to park and collect things. So, yeah, I can't quite see how that's going to happen. But you're saying it will.
Yeah, of course, and that's the reason obviously we're having this application, is that we believe as a responsible operator we can do so. Again, Jason has been on a walk round, Mobin's been on a walk round, myself even on a walk round this weekend, and again I cannot detect the smell in which you're referring to, and that's completely understandable in terms of our differences there. The Environmental Health Authority, as I know I've mentioned and alluded to several times, are the experts in relation to the council and what they do and what they believe to be a noise nuisance or a smell nuisance, and they've not brought any concerns in relation to this application and are in agreement with us. But again, it is a continued operation and we will continue to work with them to make sure that there isn't any smell or issues with that.
Mm-hmm. Can I just add that in terms of any noise or smell pollution, if there are any issues raised by residents, they will investigate them. But if they don't get any complaints, then they don't get. It's like anything. They don't. You know, the officers there will only come along if they've had complaints. So I'm not surprised that they're saying there's not a problem because they don't know there's a problem. And what they've done is put on the standard conditions which they would put on a planning application, say. So just wanted to add that. Andre.
Yeah, I just had a query off the back of Councillor Quinn's comments about the increased nuisance from delivery vehicles, that sort of stuff. I'd be keen to understand, Alex, how it currently operates, because presumably, if, as the residents have alluded to, you get vehicles throughout the evening, when do your deliveries occur? They presumably occur outside of opening time, so during the evening. So I'm just trying to understand whether there is any logic into that complaint of, would you see an increase in deliveries during the evening because you've got staff on site working, or would you maintain the current deliveries you have in place with just an increased amount of materials that require the increased customers throughout the evening?
Just so I'm clear, in terms of deliveries, is it just like supply deliveries as you're
for this question, yes.
Yes, it would be maintaining the exact same as what we have. Of course, it would be that they just provide more of what we are requiring at the time, but it's not that they will be increasing the amount of numeracy of vehicles attending the site.
Do they occur throughout the evening currently, or late evening or anything currently? Do you happen to know?
They don't. No, we did get the information from today as to when the deliveries will occur. If you just give me 2 seconds. So the general waste collection, it was at 6:30 this morning, and the recycling waste was at 9:30 this morning.
Okay, thank you.
And then any of the deliveries are after that in terms of supplies.
Sure, thank you.
Talking of deliveries, I mean, Deliveroo and all of the food deliveries. You presumably have those throughout the day and up until your current closing hour. Now, one of the things that we hear a lot in these panels is people saying how noisy, how annoying, and how disrespectful some of the delivery drivers are. And how do you find this? I mean, I suppose this is a question for Athar or Jason rather, because that is one of the huge issues of lots and lots of different delivery people sort of queuing up, having a chat, having a smoke, whatever is up to it's their job, it's what they do, but they do cause problems, especially late at night.
No, understand. And Mr. Mobin will come in a second. What we can do as an operator is, because they are a third-party consultant, as I'm sure you can appreciate, if we do have any problematic drivers, is that we can record that against the system in which we have, showing which will be the problematic drivers and report them as such. That is how it is done across the board nationally, traditionally. But I'll let Mr. Mobin come in and say whether they've got any problem drivers, but whether aware of any. But I'd say usually we're pretty good, as I say, as an operator to make sure that isn't an issue.
Yeah, yes. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, sure. We have systems in place in all our units, basically, which the delivery aggregators provide for us through their own systems, that if we're unhappy that a particular driver may be smoking excessively or being abusive or difficult, then we do refer them back to the aggregators themselves. And that's an instant response, because the aggregators themselves want feedback regarding delivery drivers and their behaviour patterns. So we do regularly give feedback with particular problems that may arise.
Thank you. Jackie, I see you've got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. I wanted to ask, because you were saying it's 24 hours. So does the restaurant open again at 5, or is it closed, or what's happening there? It's not clear, because you keep talking about 24-hour opening, but it wouldn't be 24-hour opening, because you would shut down at 5 o'clock in the morning and then not open your restaurant till whatever time. I don't know. It doesn't say it anywhere. Sorry, there's some building going on in the background. And also, I just wondered about staffing in those early hours. You're making it sound as if you've got all these people to go and pick litter and look after things outside. So what would the normal staffing be in that time period? Obviously, you might have less people from 3 to 5, but how many staff have you got in there?
So to pick up on your first question, in terms of the 24 hours, if this application was to be granted from late night refreshment 11 till 5, and I'm sure you're aware, and opening 24 hours, then we would have the ability to open from a licensing point of view 24 hours. That's not to say that we would immediately do so. It would just give us that permission to do so in a licensing perspective. Now, what time we're open at the moment, it's usually about 10, 11 o'clock in the day. Whether we would look to change that is, again, a potential future, but it would be probably be about the same. We'd probably close, as I say, at 5, 6, and then look to open again later on in the afternoon or in the midday-ish. In terms of staffing, it's hard to predict because we can't do it yet. We need to look at sort of how busy it would be, whether we would need more staff on, whether we need less staff on, and that sort of thing. And again, it's why the reasons why we wouldn't be immediately open tomorrow if this application would be granted, because we would need to have a look at the staffing levels and obviously increase the staff for those nighttime chefs, and we would look to obviously gain some people from the local area to do so.
But you obviously have other outlets that are drive-through, so you must have a good idea about how many staff are needed, and you're obviously anticipating a reasonable number of people coming through them, because as business operators you wouldn't be doing this unless you thought you could make money out of more people going there. So from other business experience, it would be quite good to have a rough guide of how many people you would actually have on the premises.
Again, of course, but this operator doesn't actually have any of the drive-through sites at the moment, and again, not into these later hours, so it's very difficult to be able to understand the staffing of these later hours at that drive-through site to be able to do so.
Sorry, but you must have looked at that as a business plan to work out costs. So I would think you must have looked at how many staff you were going to have in various scenarios, because otherwise you wouldn't be very good business people.
Thank you, but what we'd like to do is obviously gain the permissions to do so first, and then get the plan together as to whether we could make it viable, because otherwise, as I say, we'd be throwing good money after bad, getting all of these reports in, making sure that we could do all of that, as I say, when the ultimate answer is no. So we'd like to get the permissions first, and then obviously look at the staffing levels.
Okay, so you're asking for 24 hours, but that's for future use if you want to do it. Right, yes, if I understood that right.
We're asking for 24 hours with the aim of looking to utilise it, of course, yes, but it wouldn't be, as I say, tomorrow that we are able to open 24 hours. As I'm sure you are aware, and as business people, that we are having to make lots of different changes to the site to be able to make sure that we can operate it successfully. So yes, we're trying to gain the permission to do so, as opposed to, as I say, putting all of those things in place, and then the ultimate answer is no.
But potentially in 3 years' time, you could be saying, oh, yeah, we're going to open the restaurant at 6 o'clock because we realised that, you know, we could have people who would come here at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Of course. Yes, of course.
Right. Yes, I just wanted to establish that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much to Tony, Robert and Barry, who've been waiting very patiently while we have been delving. So I see Tony's got his hand up. Would you like to ask your questions, Tony, or make comments?
Yes, if I may. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that you seem to be saying that because nobody has brought to your attention about these pollution issues, other than in this application, that therefore everything must be okay. We must be fairly happy with the status quo. But that actually isn't the case, because we objected back in when the Burger King opened to the Burger King and the extractor fans. And the reason there hasn't been any ongoing discussion about it is that, frankly, we lost that discussion. We lost that. Then Nando's turned up, and we had exactly the same thing, and we lost that debate as well. So it's not, you do know about, you were made aware that there were objections to the pollution. It's just that we haven't been able to do anything in the past years. And the second question I'd like to ask, which is supplementary to that, is do you acknowledge that when Burger King is cooking their products, that smoke does come out of their extractor fan?
Thank you, Tony. Again, the application, or as I'm sure you're aware, the original planning application for this was just over 25 years ago. This operator has taken on the site 15 years ago, and we're not aware, without sounding a little bit crass or in any shape, is that there are any issues, because we've not been contacted by anyone, by yourselves or environmental health or licensing, as to any issues that are pertaining from the sites, and we are only able to deal with the issues when we are made aware of them. Again, we do regular patrols. Jason is down there regularly. Mobin is there every single day, making sure that there aren't any issues, and we strongly believe that there isn't, and we're sorry to think that you do believe so. And again, we wouldn't be involved in the nicest way possible in the Nando's application. We wouldn't know what's going on and what you've objected to in relation to Nando's, because it isn't our business. So it's a little easier to say that we do know, and unfortunately we don't. And we're happy to have meetings with yourselves. We're happy to have conversations with yourselves to make sure it is an issue, because I say good neighbours is better for business than bad.
But what all I'm really saying is that there were objections to not only the Burger King outlet, but also later that there were emissions coming into our properties. And you do know about that. Burger King, as a business, does know about that.
Again, you're saying that we're aware of this. Honestly, we're not. That is the concern that we're talking about here, because again, we've not been made aware, and in the nicest way possible, has anyone of the local residents been in to contact Mr. Mobin or Mr. Kennedy to raise these issues?
No, because as I said earlier, the issues were raised and we lost that battle. Do you see what I mean?
I do, but can you understand from our point of view that this is 25 years ago in relation to a planning application, and since then we would understand that no noise, or for lack of a better term, is good, that we are running well, and that you've got no issues with us. That is our point of view.
But that wasn't how it was left. It was left that we have got issues with you, but we can't do anything about it.
Tony, can I just ask you, when you say you raised them, did you raise them at the planning application stage, or have you raised stuff since? Did you make an?
Yeah, I can't recall, because we were here 25 years ago. I can't recall the detail.
Of course.
And there haven't been any subsequent applications to environmental health, because as I recall, we lost that battle, as we did with Nando's.
When you say what you mean, because the planning applications were granted, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So you would have. Yeah. So I'm guessing you would have made representations at the planning application stage for both Burger King and Nando's, saying you were concerned about the smell. Now, the way that would have been dealt with, or potential smells, because you wouldn't know what they were at the time, but how that would have been dealt with, as with any application for a food outlet with cooking on the premises, is that there would be strict conditions about extract ducts, which has happened. So it's a question of, as I said, if unfortunately you haven't made any direct complaints to environmental health, because the applications were granted, and it is down to you as residents to say if you have any problems with noise or smells. So I'm sorry if there's been any misunderstanding there.
Well, I think the feeling was that it was a battle that we weren't never going to win. With both of those outlets.
Okay, I understand.
Can I get an answer to the second question? Do you acknowledge that smoke does come out of your extractor fan? Because you seem to be sort of saying that it doesn't.
In terms of smoke, of course, the extractor fan is there to extract. That is, it does, and that is its main purpose, and it does do that. In terms of what we're saying is that we don't believe there to be a noise or smell issue pertaining from those extractor fans.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Before we go on, I'm just going to ask Rebecca to come in, because she usually puts her hand up if there's a procedural issue.
No, it's not really procedural. I suppose the focus of this panel is on the application for late night refreshment 24 hours. So maybe the fact that residents haven't, complained, they're obviously concerned now about the impact going forward 24 hours. So that's probably what we need to focus on, I think.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I see that Andre's got his hand up, but I'm going to go to Barry and then Robert, as they have been waiting patiently to have their say.
So, yeah, thanks. Following on, just want to ask Alex, if it is going to be a 24-hour drive-through, I assume all the car park lighting is going to have to be on all night long, which at the moment it turns off around, I think, around midnight. Again, it's the original planning things, all external lights off. I'm guessing if cars are going to be passing through, the lighting's all going to be left on.
Yeah, so our lighting will be on, the Burger King lighting, but the internal restaurant will be closed. In terms of the car park lighting, it is something that we're going to have to chat, and obviously, as you say, with the planning, discuss with the landlord and the planning inspector in relation to that. We can't change that at present. It's not something, as you say, if the application were mandated to be granted, not all of a sudden all the floodlights in the car park are being turned on after that night. That won't be happening.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Alex, what did you mean that you'll have to discuss it with the planning inspectorate?
Well, sorry, as we would have to go through a planning application in order to make those changes if that was to happen.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I was.
No, sorry, it mixed up in terminology for you there. Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's one of the planning permissions that,
yes,
yeah, a certain time they have to all be turned off. Yeah.
Any more questions, Barry, or is that it? Have you?
No,
any
that's
other
it.
questions, Barry? Okay, Robert. Robert, you're on mute.
Robert.
When will I learn? So 2 points. One is litter in Goldstone Lane. It's not just the cardboard carton. There's sometimes discarded food, and discarded food, apart from it being unpleasant, it attracts wildlife. There have been foxes, still see foxes occasionally at Goldstone Lane. I haven't seen any rats, but they're never far away when there's discarded food. That's one thing. And another thing, following up from Tony's comment, he was asked about, when did you make your application? Well, I actually keep all my emails, and there was some objections to a restaurant in August 2013. So that was one of the things. This wasn't 25 years ago anyway, and I've actually got a planning application number here if anybody wants to follow that up. So I just want to make those 2 points. Litter and 2013, not 25 years ago. Could you just let me know just because I'm interested to see it. The planning application number will be BH2013 and then something else. Is there a chat here in Microsoft Teams? Must be a chat facility. Yeah, but you can just tell me the last few numbers because I've got. I see it right now. Yeah. Yes, hang on.
Sorry, Robert.
BH 2013.
Yeah.
So
Robert, yeah, I just see. I've got notes of these. 2013, I think, was a Nando's, the original Nando's.
Oh, okay.
I think I've got
9445. I was thinking of. I can't see the name of the business though.
And I think the 1998 I've got down is the Burger King.
Oh.
Planning. That's from the online.
I don't think I had internet in 1998.
No. I think that's as far as it goes back to 90. That's the earliest one.
Right. Okay, Robert, have you got anything more to say? Any other questions?
No. I just wanted to make those 2 additions. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, fabulous. Corinne, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to see there's been talk about the mobile support unit, but I can't see, unless I've missed it on the conditions agreed with the police, that's actually a condition of the licence. And I'm just checking, Alex, whether your clients would be acceptable to having that they do have to sort of comply with a MSU backup. And if so, how many people would they be willing to have?
We'd be happy to do so. The reason it's not a condition is because when we initially spoke with the police prior to submitting this application, we had such a good track record with them. They're aware of the service in which we utilise, that they were happy to trust us to utilise that service as we did with some of the other sites. They weren't that concerned in relation to a condition being imposed in that regard.
Yeah, I think it's just now that we've heard from the residents about that they might be used, the MSU, more not just in a crime sort of bit, but more antisocial behaviour sort of thing. I think that if we could get that as a condition on the licence,
we are happy to do so. As I say, and if the councillors would like to impose that as a condition, again, we would be happy to do so.
Okay, great. And just secondly, I just want to sort of check whether, and I know it's just, you might not be able to sort of tell at this stage, whether if it was just for the third party operators to come rather than a drive-through by the public, whether that would be something. I think we've heard mention from Attar that obviously you do have more control over the third party drivers. You can refuse their order, you can report them back to their operating sort of company, and that might sort of cut down half the amount of people attending potentially. I just wondered if that was any option there.
We are looking to obviously open to the public as well, and that is the main point of this application, that we can utilise both. We wouldn't look to reduce it to any delivery drivers only or delivery companies only.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for clarifying. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, now I think, Andre, did you have another question that you wanted to ask?
No, I think Rebecca made my point. Well, I was just mindful whilst the points were certainly valid and should be explored. I don't know how relevant they were to this application.
Okay.
And just to clarify, Alex, so the current franchisee took over 15 years ago.
It did, yes.
So it's been Burger King since 99, but it's only been under the franchisee's control for 15 years.
That's correct.
Right, thank you.
Okay, now we've now reached the point where the applicant and Jackie and the other and the neighbours can make their do their final summaries. Do you need a few minutes to put something together? I'm guessing that Alex has already got his summary ready.
That's correct. Yes, I have.
Yeah, used to these things. But first of all, I mean, if Jackie and the residents want to kind of have a think about it, we can have another 5-minute break. But first up will be the licensing officer, which is Donna, and then move on to other people. So how do you feel about that, Jackie? Are you there, Jackie?
Yes, I'm here. I was just writing. Yes, I think a quick 5-minute break, because I've got another meeting at 2 and I may have to go after I've said my bit. So 5 minutes.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, Barry, Robert and Tony, would one of you like to put forward a summary for all three of you, or would you like to do your own summaries?
I'd be happy if Robert spoke for me, if that it makes it simpler.
Okay.
Okay. I'm prepared in summary. I'd be repeating myself, I suppose, but
yeah, just if we just hang on, it's 12:36 now. 12:41. If we come back at about just gone 20 to 1, and then we'll start off, as I said, with Donna, and carry on from there. So just another 5-minute break if everybody's okay. Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Sarah, did you have your hand up just then? Maybe not. Okay.
I think she meant she was back.
Oh, thank you. Oh, hang on. I'll let Tony come back in. There we are. So we got. Are we a full house now? Yep. Okay. Okay. So the first person to give their summary will be Donna. Are you there, Donna?
Sorry, yes, I lost my mouse under a load of paperwork. Thank you. So this is an application for a new premises licence for Burger King, Goldston Retail Park, Newtown Road, Hove. You have now heard from all parties present and seen the written representations. The main concerns raised were ongoing disturbances throughout the night, already antisocial behaviour in the area, and this may increase with people being attracted. Also issues with rubbish, pollution from smell of the current food businesses. The applicant clarified that the applicant has confirmed that at this stage, no planning application has been submitted. Clarified that the car park is controlled by the site owners. However, this will be monitored and vehicles will only be allowed to park for 10 minutes. Implemented security services to enforce. Burger King have already been putting measures to mitigate the issues raised and agreed conditions submitted by police and environmental protection. We're not aware of any issues regarding smell and noise, etc., but happy to take on any measures that will mitigate this issue. And clarified they would want to have both delivery drivers and members of the public. And considerations were given to applicants who were asked whether they would consider early closing area. Confirmed would consider, however, feel the measures to be implemented would not require early closing, and happy to add conditions for an MSU contract. Licensing Guidance 9.38 states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licence objectives in the overall interests of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licence objectives, the representation including supporting information presented by all parties, the licensing guidance and its own statement and licensing policy. The licensing authority must carry out its functions with a view to promoting the licence objectives and our policies framed around those objectives. It is important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits. After considering all the relevant issues, the licensing authority may grant the application subject to such conditions that are consistent with the operating schedule. If the panel decide to grant the application, then any conditions added to the licence to meet the licence objectives should be clear, precise and enforceable. Alternatively, the licensing authority may refuse the application on the grounds that it is appropriate for the promotion of the licence objectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donna. Now we go to representations from local councillor, i.e. Jackie, and then Robert will be speaking on behalf. Oh, sorry, Rebecca.
It's Corinne, actually, because she's the responsible authority. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Again, it's I need to do my own order, running order, because it's I can't do the red. Okay, Corinne.
That's fine. It won't take long. Thank you, Chair. My representation was made on behalf of the Licensing Authority on the grounds of the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance, and having regard to the Council's statement of licensing policy in regard to the hours being applied for. I therefore felt it was necessary to bring this application before the panel to determine the final outcome. Many thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Jackie, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. So I have listened to the arguments put forward by the applicants, but I'm still very strongly arguing for this application to be refused. This is a very heavily residential area due to the properties that already existed and the hundreds and hundreds of properties that have been built, are being built, that are in very close proximity to the retail park, which is probably why they want to put this in. But anyway, I think that this will create a greater number of cars going to the retail park and motorbikes on just ordinary people and also delivery drivers. And this will create a lot of noise and will probably also contribute to antisocial behaviour. Even reducing the hours granted to say 1 or 2 still creates considerable noise issues for local residents in the early hours of the morning when they want to sleep. So I would ask that this not be considered. I'm also concerned that this is a 24-hour licence and that at some point there will be 24-hour opening of either the drive-through or the restaurant. There's going to be one or other of them operational. So I would ask very strongly that this is refused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. Robert, would you like to speak on behalf of your neighbours and yourself?
Yes. Okay. Right. Obviously, there is a clash between the needs of the retail businesses of the retail park and the residents. And as Jackie mentioned, the residents actually predate the retail park, and some of the residents have been here actually, you know, going way back decades and decades. And I'd also like to just give as an illustration something that can give you an idea of what it's like to be subject to, say, noise at night. If you're living in a residential street anywhere in Brighton and Hove and you hear, say, I don't know, some bins clattering or a car horn or whatever it is at 4 a.m, then it's irritating. It might wake you up and you might curse a bit, but then you can turn over and go back to sleep. But when you live opposite the retail park and you hear the same noise at 3 or 4 a.m, then you think, oh no, what are they going to do now? Is it going to go on and on? Is it going to build up? How long is this going to last? Is this going to be a pattern? Is it going to be all night? Is it going to be all week? And so that has a huge impact on us, which is a health issue, really. Stress is always a health issue. And the smoke too. I'm not sure how the smoke issue has been resolved in this conversation, because residents are saying there is smoke. We can smell it. We know it's there. And that too affects us in health ways, both in terms of our lungs and the stress of knowing that it's going on, as well as the frustration of not being able to make our objections successfully along the years. We've had many objections to many different applications, and it all gets quite tiresome, and sometimes I can understand why some residents aren't interested in joining yet another discussion. Not all residents, for example, have elected to join this this online meeting right now, because they think, oh well, it's another one, it's not going to go anywhere, we're never going to win any of these, so they don't bother. But nevertheless, I think that it's worth fighting, and on those grounds, I'm not going to go over the list that I made earlier or anyone else's list, but that's how some of us feel about it. So we would ask you please to not let this application go through. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. And now I'll hand over to Alex to give the summary on behalf of his client.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it short and sweet, as I know we've had a long day here in this meeting. We hope that we've responded to the concerns raised by the residents, not with excuses, but with practical commitment, enforceable conditions, and a genuine willingness to work within the community. This is not a 24-hour free-for-all. It is a tightly managed late night drive-through operation with an experienced and local operator who has the in-depth knowledge to deal with any of the issues which may arise in this locality. There is no internal access after 11 p.m. We've agreed measures with the environmental health and the police. We are offering conditions in relation to noise, litter management and public contact with the local manager, and we believe this is a plan aligned with the licensing objectives and the local sensitivities. We believe this application demonstrates a balance supporting the local economic activity in the area while also respecting the character and also needs of the area. This is not in a stress area, it's not in a cumulative impact area, and we would respectfully ask the panel to grant the application with the agreed conditions, confident that we can operate this site successfully, responsibly, safely and without any disruption to the neighbours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I will ask Rebecca, as our legal advisor, to make any closing comments she wishes to make before we retire to a different virtual room to make our decision.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I don't have anything to add, really, unless you've got any questions of me at this point.
No,
no, and you've canvassed any measures that you might be considering. I think you've done that, haven't you? So yeah. Nothing further from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody, and thank you for coming, and thank you for your patience earlier. I hope everybody had the opportunity to put their views forward. So I will now say goodbye and thank you, and you'll get the letter. And normally we do them in about 5 working days. Rebecca,
that's the aim. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you very much, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.